up, Jordan here. Today I have a tutorial on personally one of my most used card mechanics in all my tricks, and one of my favorite color changes, and that is called the ego change. Forewarning, this move does take a lot of practice to get it down fluidly and smooth, but once you get it, it's a pretty devastating change. I'll show you an example. Watch, we'll take the top card, the 7 of diamonds, and just with a flick it changes into the Queen of Clubs. This move is used in TiVo 2.0, for example, and it's just a really nice color change. And it is totally performable live once you get the angles down, and I'll help you out with that in this tutorial as well. So, let's get started on the ego change. Okay, so first thing I'm going to go over in this change is what it looks like without the cover hand. Now, the ego change involves a lot of angles and making sure you keep things covered from the spectator's eyes. I'll give you a couple tips later in the video on how to make sure your angles are perfect every time. The cover hand is really important in the ego change, but I'm going to do it one-handed so you can see how the mechanics work. Now, to do this change, you have to have 2 cards loaded behind one another. So, for example, you could do a double lift to get into this, but you have the card that you want to change, and the card that you want it to change into is beneath it. Okay, that's how you load this trick. You can do it off the bottom, or you could just do a double lift, or incorporate it any other way that you wish to. So once you have this situation where you have this 2 card, the spectator thinks it's 1, but there's secretly a card behind it that it's going to change into. This is what the actual move looks like without the cover hand. Okay? Now, I add my own little cleanup into this. People do different things, but personally, when I do the change, I pull it underneath the bottom of the deck, and it leaves it pretty clean, like that. Okay? So let's see that one more time. We do the double lift. That's the move right there. Okay? Now, like I said, this move takes a lot of practice, but let's get a little more in-depth about the mechanics of how to actually do that. Okay, so let's work on the actual move real quick to pull a card. Now, this is done from a normal mechanic script, so just a normal way of holding a pack of cards. You have your index finger up top, your thumb along this side, and these 3 fingers over here. Okay, you don't need to change the grip at all for this. We can just practice with the top card for this move. So this finger, it stays still, it keeps the pack square, same with the thumb. None of the fingers move except for the pinky, okay? You are pulling, here, let me try and explain this differently. All of these cards are trying, these fingers, my bad, are trying to keep the cards still while letting the pinky drag solely the top card off. This takes a lot of practice to do, but just practice holding the deck tight and just using your pinky to forcefully pull down the top card. Now, what makes this work as well is your thumb is pressed against the top corner of the deck, like so. So when you are ready to release, your thumb just slightly moves out of the way, and the force that your pinky is putting on the bottom of the card will drag it down and create an angle like that. Okay? So that's the actual move. Now let's get into the cover for it. Okay, so when you're doing the ego change, it's really important to keep angles in mind. So, and timing as well, that's also important in this change. When you drag the card down, and when you do your flicking motion, so it kinda, they might hear a snap or something, but a spectator will see you just flicking like that, and the card changing. So here's what it looks like, and here's how I do it. You can vary it however you want to make it your own handling, but this is how I personally perform it. I have the cards loaded, and I'm ready to do the change. Now, as my hand goes over the side and over the top of the deck like that, I try and keep my middle finger knuckle pointed right at the spectator's eyes. Now that's going to help. It's just a useful trick to keep your angles in mind, and it actually works out almost all the time. So, you keep your middle finger knuckle pointed at the spectator's eye, and you want your whole hand covering this card, so not just your fingertips. You want to make sure it's pretty deep over the top of the deck when you do this change. So this is what it looks like. And then I go down to grab the deck and drag this card underneath for a clean ego change. So that is how I do the ego change. Thank you for watching, and practice this move because it does take a while. Talk to you guys later.